Hey everybody, welcome to Holding Priority, the MTG CEDH podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the post-ban meta and kind of catch up on our experience and feelings post-September 23 ban.
A lot of changes, a lot of movement as far as where people are going with decks.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. I didn't think that it was going to stick, and it did. And everybody kind of got to the point where they were like, all right, well, let's figure it out.
Yeah, let's just maneuver. I think by no means have we seen everything settle, but I do think that we're seeing some interesting stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get into those, let's go into the shuffle up. So we've seen quite a bit of comments. We did take a little bit of October off. We're filming this right before we go to MagicCon, and it'll come out on the 28th, the last day of MagicCon.
Just a few days.
Yeah. So hopefully on the plane ride back, if you guys went to MagicCon, number one, you saw us. And if you did, thank you. And then number two, you had a blast. I think it's going to be a fun time.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be great.
I want to get into a couple of the comments that were left. So on our MagicCon survival guide, TCG Dude says, thank you for this episode. As a first timer at MagicCon, attending is a bit intimidating as it is exciting. Hope to see y'all there. Yes, that'd be really cool. I want to play a bunch of CEDH games.
Oh, yeah, for sure. If you see us,
yeah,
always down to play.
Hopefully, I mean, since it's coming out on the 28th, hopefully we saw you, TCG Dude.
Yeah.
Patrick Owens says, as a pro tip, roll all your clothes up. They will take up less room in your bag. And that he thinks that they are going to try out the new bracket system there. I hope not, but
yeah, I think that would be kind of funky. I think they're still trying to iron it out.
They kind of did. Last time, whenever we went, it was casual, challenging, and competitive.
Yeah.
And there was a piece of paper for each one. And I think everybody was kind of like, what's challenging, you know?
Like, yeah, no. It's always easy for us because we're just on the top end and we just go there.
Yeah. We are going to try to beat you as hard as possible. Are you cool with that? Cool.
Yeah. And if not, do you have a deck that I could play that
yeah,
would probably be more on the same level?
Yeah. The Duskborn Commander set podcast came out post bans, but we reviewed it pre-bans. I don't think it changes too much. I will say Kona is much, much better in the 99 now.
Yeah.
I don't think Kona is a standalone commander anymore, but I mean, could be wrong. We'll go into that a little bit more later.
Yeah, for sure. I think if it had another color, it would be stupid good. I think having it just green is good tech.
Yeah. Jade Sushi on our bonus episode, the September 2024 Commander RC ban. I put those, if you're on Apple Podcast, in season 0. So if you did not see that, it is there. And if you did not see that, there's a bunch of bonus episodes. So Jade Sushi says, I don't like that they make clear they didn't speak with the CIG when it came to these bans, which is the whole reason it was created. I don't mind the bans necessarily. I think it's healthy to move the meta along and have it adapt. Financially, it hurt, but I'm really more upset with the abruptness and lack of consideration when it came to these bans. Very well worded. I was not as nice.
So, yeah, me either. I think that, honestly, we should get more representation, and I think we're getting there.
Yeah, I will go ahead and plug the right after Wizards of the Coast took over the Commander Council, which, like, not gonna do an episode on that, but just a kind of quick. So they ended up, the Commander Council was like, hey, you know, this is too much for us. We've really been trying to run it. It's way too big for us. Wizards, you have the resources, you have the time. We're just a bunch of people that volunteered to do this for free. We can't do this anymore. We don't feel safe. Take it over. And they were like, okay, cool. And they did something very similar with Pauper. I think that they've done a really good job with that because while they do curate it, they have the resources to go, let me get representation from as many different places around the world as we can. Let's make sure each type of player is represented. They've said that they're not going to split the format at all. They're just going to manage it as a whole. But they specifically called out CEDH and that they will make sure there's representation. And it was a long episode. It's an hour, and I don't really want to rehash it because at the end of the day, it was an hour about the future of the format. I felt a lot better after I watched it. So I would suggest that instead of listening to me rehash it, you guys go watch it.
Yeah, just direct you to it. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts in it. I think that the dust is starting to kind of clear out a little bit, and the fear of the initial bans is going away.
Yeah, I will say that Magic did a really good job kind of recovering the RC stuff. I still I don't agree with the RC still. I'm really glad that they feel safe now and they don't have a bunch of terrible people threatening them over a card game.
Yeah.
So I'm glad. I think it's all going to work out. I do think that there's definitely a time where you have to admit this is too much, and instead of holding on to it and being emotional about like, hey, this is mine, actually like saying, I want this to be mine. I really don't want to let it go, but I know that I need to give it up is really hard. And I'm really glad that they did that, because I do think that as just volunteers unpaid, it was a lot for them to deal with.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, a lot of people are passionate about the game. I'm pretty passionate about it. I like playing. So I can only imagine, people that are maybe emotionally a little bit stressed out being,
Yeah.
I get it.
I mean, like, being a little, I will say that we had quite a few days before the podcast that we made was filmed, so we had time to like separate ourselves. But I was mad, when I first heard it. Like, not mad enough to yell or threaten somebody on Twitter.
Of course, we're not by any means advocating that.
Yeah, but I will say that, like, in our group chat, I was like, no, that's not real. Like, you guys are reading the wrong thing, and there was some therapy that went on before our podcast came out.
some yells and
yeah, and it is what it is. It happened, and we're talking about now we're kind of separated from it a little bit, so we're going to talk about that today. Before we get into that, just again, thank you guys for the comments. Thank you guys for the views. If you ever, if you listen to multiple episodes, that's crazy. Thank you so much. I'm glad we could entertain you. If you've only listened to one episode and this is your first one, if you like it, check out more. Let us know. It's really nice to see that positive feedback. I'll see a lot of views on episodes, and I'm just like, is this a good episode? Did people like it? I mean, it got a lot of views. And if I see that there's a lot of views and everybody's just like, I didn't like that, I'll never know. Yeah. So if it's good feedback, great. If it's bad feedback, also great. Like knowing what you guys like.
Yeah. And if you want to comment and have us discuss something, I mean, we can consider it.
Yeah.
Couldn't talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to run out of set reviews. There is going to be foundations, but a lot of November and December are going to be complete reviews that are like complete episodes that we have to come up with. And hopefully Play to Win will not just put out an episode 3 days later.
Of our stuff. Yeah. That's funny.
It's coincidence 100%, but almost every episode that we've come out with that wasn't a set review, we put it out, and 3 days later Play to Win puts it out. And hopefully, this is coming out on the 28th again. Hopefully we get to play to Win. I really want to.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. We seen him the last time at Magic Con.
Yeah, there's so many people trying to get into that table. Like, hopefully we can kind of slip in.
I have to say they're very nice guys, though.
Yeah.
They signed my mat and everything. I was
Yeah.
pretty happy about it.
It was also cool, like, a lot of people that are like kind of duo partners in like business, usually like business, they're together and they spend so much time together doing like business stuff that they're just like, okay, whenever I'm not like making content, I kind of want to go to
Yeah.
different tables and stuff like that, which is fair. You know, I can't have pizza. I love pizza, but I can't have pizza every night.
It's 100% what I do to Cryptid.
Yeah.
I'm just-
But they were like hanging out the entire time and like having a great time with each other. And I was like, that's kind of cool to see. Cause like I saw some other like pairs in the creator community, and they were definitely like, I'm gonna go look at the artist stuff, you go play, like we'll be on different floors, you know?
meet up later, yeah.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
And then just before we get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, I did want to promote our link tree. So we do have a link tree in the description. You can find everything about us there. If you're thinking about buying a big Magic Con or a Magic card order, please do it on TCG Player. We do have an affiliate link. It does benefit us a little bit. I'm talking a little bit.
It's just cool we have it.
But it's really cool to help the channel. If you're like, I know I'm going to put in $100 order, who can I give a couple bucks to? Please use our link. Could be us. It does not cost you anything extra. It just lets TCG Player know that we sent you there, and they give us little tiny bit back. And the more people that do it, the more they'll give us back. It's a free way to support the channel. Another way to support the channel for free: like, comment, and subscribe. We are seeing a lot of growth on YouTube and a lot of growth on all of our podcasts.
Very much appreciated.
Mostly Apple Podcast. I went on vacation beginning of October. And we hit 1,000 listens or 1,000 downloads on the podcast, which I didn't think we were going to hit that at all in 2024. And we have 3 months left of 2024.
Yeah, it's flew by.
Yeah, it's really cool. And we got a couple hundred more after. So it's like, boom. Really cool.
I mean, if you have a group of friends, and I mean, shout us out. I mean, you maybe they like it as well.
Yep. And if you are a very, very, very cool person, we do have the Ko-Fi link. And if you want to be really, really cool, you buy us a pack of cards. I can guarantee if we get a couple bucks, we're going to go down to our local game store. There's a nice woman there that likes to take our money.
Oh, shit, loves taking our money.
We'll buy cards, and we'll probably just go buy cards at a local shop and then just play all day.
That's what we do.
Yeah. So if you want to support us and a small business and a very nice lady that sells cards
And a dog.
and dog. Oh yeah. I'm gonna name dog Toby. I call him Tobeans. He loves us.
He has not gave me the discount yet. I'm pretty upset about it.
He's the manager, and every time I go up and I make a purchase, I'm like, well, Toby said that I could have free water, and Toby is a liar because I never get that free water.
And he still wants the ear pets.
Yeah, which he gets 100% every time he wants them. But Toby, you're a bad manager.
Yeah. If you're listening, Toby, gosh darn it.
Toby, if you're listening and you understand English, I want to know.
Where's my discount?
All right, cool. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. So how are you feeling about the bans now that we've had some time to play and adjust?
I'm not happy that some of my decks have changed, but
Same.
Change is one of the. Well, you had a whole deck change. I
had 2 whole decks change. We'll go into that. I'll wait my turn.
I mean, initially, I was playing Blue Farm and Sisse. I was dabbling with. I have to say, in my opinion, that Sisse is a little bit more viable now than Blue Farm, which is kind of crazy, at least in my opinion. And maybe things will change, but it's kind of cool to see people try to make things work even without some of the engines that once were there.
You found some things in Sisay that like you pulled some cards out that were legendary that I've never seen before, and some of them were from like newer sets, and I was just like, where'd you find these?
Yeah, I kind of tricked the table yesterday with is it Lauren? It's a blue.
The yeah from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, she can. And if I said it wrong, chew me up. It's fine. But no, she has two abilities. One taps, and you can tap her and untap permanent, and then the other one is tap her and you can untap two legendary permanents. Which I've just added Balloon Man. I'm wanting to see what that's going to be like.
I'm looking her up. Irith of the Healing House.
Oh, wow. Never mind, guys.
So it looks like an L, like a lowercase L, but it's Ioreth. So I think it's Irith. Legendary creature, human cleric, 1/4, 2 colorless and a blue. Tap, untap another target permanent. Tap, untap 2 other target legendary creatures.
Yeah. She's
good.
She's pretty interesting in the grand scheme of things now. I have some cheeky things I want to do with the Balloon Man that just came out in the new set. But with that's one of the combos or one of the little nuggets of heat I'm trying to throw in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have Blue Farm, which it's a little slower. It doesn't have as much explosive with power without the dock side, but still pretty decent, honestly. You become more like a sheriff, just with the sheer counters and things.
I think if you were playing the Japanese list, it would be a little bit more explosive because the Japanese list did run a lot of just like sacrifice all my lands and stuff like that. But I feel like, and maybe it's just because we've tuned our decks in a way that hurts Blue Farm, but I feel like the Underworld Breach Brain Freeze combo is just not as strong anymore.
Yeah, it's not as great. It works, but there's so many things that kind of stop it dead in the water.
Like endurance,
oof.
Really any Noxious Revival. Like there's a lot of green. I feel like green got a little bit bigger because everybody I think kind of swapped to Kinnan, swapped to Tymna Thrasios, and I think green is kind of messing up Blue Farm a little bit more.
Tymna Thrasios is a lot because it can go through a lot of stuff and
with silence still.
and Thrasios is a colorless mana dump, which is one of those things that green does really well with getting infinite mana. So
yeah. I'll go ahead and move to how I feel. So I was playing 2 decks at the time, pretty regularly. Atali, which I'll talk about later, and Nadu, which is just gone.
Was that a tear?
Yeah, it's just gone. I still have it together. It was something that I put together. I really liked it. It was a lot of fun. I still don't think that it in CEDH deserved the ban. I've had a lot of people say that, like, well, when you start going off, it takes too long, and it's like, I mean, if you're bad at the deck, yeah. Like if you push to no end, yeah, it does take a while. I will say that like it's a deck that you have to be comfortable just saying like, I'm gonna do a bunch of Nadu triggers. Clearly, I can move my equipment to everything. Any point in this combo, I'm not gonna send priority around. Is everybody okay with that? Cool. If anybody needs me to stop at any point, let me know. Like just wedge in there. And it's not as long like that. And you're going through quite a bit of your deck. Also, like a lot of people were not running Thasses with it, which like it's really easy to say like, okay, I can draw every single card in my deck. Well, I can put every card in my deck. I'm not drawing. I will get to the point where I have a whole bunch of blue on field because I'm playing every card in my deck. I'll play Thassa's with
3-4 cards.
five cards in my library.
Yeah.
And have every counter in my deck to back it up. Do you guys accept the loop? If not, I will play it out. And playing it out doesn't take a long time. Same thing where you're like, again, stop me. I think people need to be a little bit more accepting of like, hey, this is what I propose. You guys I can clearly do it. Agree. Cool. Scoop. There are times in tournaments where I'm like, I want to see it. And then there's times in tournaments where I'm like, show me Thassa's Oracle and show me how many counters you have. And then it's like, okay, you actually have Thassa's in your deck. Cool, I verified that. I accept. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that since our group, well, me personally, played Shakashima, and Shakashima was a lot more.
Yeah, that's a lot longer.
That's a lot more like, I'm going.
Yeah.
Will I win? Yes, at some point. You could easily say, well, show me because we could go to time.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, well, let me try to figure that out.
Yeah.
I think that Nadu wasn't that, is it undetermined?
Yeah. So like, and the thing about Sakashima is also like, which I learned people call it cherry blossom because
that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Croc and Sakashima in Japanese, I believe, translates roughly to cherry blossom. So I was like, oh, that's cute. Or like sakura or something. I don't know. But someone was telling me about it and I was like, I'm not going to log the reason, but cherry blossom's cool. But that one, you have to win flips. So I understand, like, that's even less deterministic. Nadu is like,
oh, you're winning.
I have 40 triggers if I hit a land at any point. You know,
like you were still, I guess people didn't like you, like watching you be like, I'm going to move this card to here, and I'm going to put a card into my hand, and I'm going to move this card to here.
Well, I would just go, I would take, because you don't physically need to move the equipment. I would just put the equipment to the side and be like, trigger.
Yeah.
Trigger. And like, it was a little bit harder with the one that gives Shroud, because like you can't.
Need the other side.
You do have to, but like, you can talk to the table and be like, you guys clearly understand I can go trigger, next one trigger. Like I have this amount of triggers. Like
I had seen Nadu at a couple of tournaments, and I would say that yours was probably one of the most efficient. If it wasn't like the meta efficient.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been there, but
and a lot of people literally just were like, okay, I'll just go back to Kinnan. So it didn't really affect CDH. But I enjoyed it. We had a friend that he ended up going to a pretty big tournament in Texas, and there were a couple big people there. I don't really want to name drop, but
it was some heavy hitters.
Yeah, some heavy hitters. One of them was playing Kinnan for a long time, swapped to Nadu, and even he was just like, I put a lot of money in that deck, and it's just mostly just gone. I don't agree with it. You know, I was playing Kinnan before. I can just swap to Kinnan, you know. But the fact that I had to, for seemingly like not a good reason, kind of hurts, you know. And then to move away from Nadu, because I don't want to ever talk about him again. I don't like it. It's like from It's Sunny with Frank. It's like, I don't like it. I don't like talking about it. He doesn't zip me.
Just send a tear in the comments for Nadu.
Yeah, just F in comments for Nadu, please. I moved on to Atali. Made some swaps. Basically, I took out Dockside, Mana Vault, Jeweled Lotus, and I put in a mana source. I forget what it was. I think it was another like land enchantment for more mana, and I put in Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon because I hate everyone now, and that's why I did it. It was a pretty quick swap. I will say that like I've played a couple games, and the mulligans for Atali is a lot harder for the most part, I'm looking for a lion's eye diamond now. And just saying like I don't care about my hand. Lion's eye diamond or orcish lumberjack. Like those big mana or mana vault, clearly. Or turn well, I can't really turn one Jessica's Will anymore. It's hard, but you can. The mulligans are a lot harder, and I don't know if it was just how our group adjusted, but I got 3 Atali triggers in a row, and I maybe cast out of the 12 cards, 8 of them. And they were all like junk.
Kind of mediocre, yeah.
I've been noticing that the Atali flips are just, I don't know what it is, if I've just had bad luck, but been putting a lot of effort into Atali, getting them out, and then when I get them out, I'm just like this. I really am only counting on what's in my deck.
I have a bit of a theory on that actually, because the copy cards are the
clones.
The clones are no longer as viable, and if you're gonna put a clone in, Mockingjay is like a pretty solid one.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna Mockingjay, Atali doesn't really work as well.
The lack of clones is good for Atali though, because then you guys don't get Atali triggers.
That's true, but you pull off the top, and then if you get a clone, I mean, clearly your deck is more tuned to try to copy Atali off top, but it is nice to have another way to copy it, or some kind of big mana hit or win con would be great.
But. Yeah, and now if I want to go infinite mana, for the most part, I'm looking at Squee Food Chain. I'm not. I think I have Cloudstone Curio in still, and I should take that out because I'm not. I mean, I guess I could. I'll keep it in because I still do have Blank Goblin to where I can juggle and get infinite red.
Wiggle it around,
but it's just red.
I think that that color combination is just really hard in general, but Atali would be the easiest for that one, in my opinion, unless you're going to do like, well, I was going to say like Dargo Thras, but that's not the same color.
Yeah,
blue is a little different.
I'm not going to give up on Atali. Like, I still think, I mean, he's a dinosaur, so he has legs, but I think you could play Atali and figure it out. I don't think he's dead, but I do think that people see Atali and they're just scared of Atali because it's big and it can flip. And I think he's just a lot slower and he needed to be pretty quick. So I'd be interested to see if people are still putting up results with him. Like, he's not, I wouldn't say he's Corvold dead by any means. Which
Corvold's like 6 feet under.
Corvold, like, Modern Horizons did get a goblin that you sacrifice a creature, pay a life, get a treasure. There's things like, because you can run like packages with that zombie that we liked that was 1 black that you can cast from the grave crawler, I believe.
Yeah.
Like you can do things. Like black has a lot of like recursion loops where you can cast from the graveyard, and it's I don't think it's gonna stay a CDH deck though.
I guess that kind of transitions us into because I've been looking at a lot of tournaments over the last month. There's not a lot of data.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. There's not enough data to really be like, okay, this is where the meta's going. But I have seen some things that are starting to show a pattern.
Yeah. I want to go real quick. I want to go to the last deck I'm playing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was cutting you off, man.
So the deck that I'm playing the most is Tymna Kodama.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
So that's a deck that I topped 4 with at the beginning of 2024 at a small tournament in, I think it was like a 45-person tournament.
It was decent.
Yeah.
You did all right.
It's a deck that a lot of decks don't know how to play around it. And really what I built the deck as I'll either win or tie. I didn't realize back then that like winning one game and tying the rest just isn't viable because that's 9 points.
Mm.
You got to win two. So the deck is only forcing a tie is only good if you have 2 wins already, which it was very very sacks heavy. And now that I've had some experience, I kind of went in and remade it. And I've been running it quite a bit. And it's been winning.
It's sticky, man.
Yeah, it has a couple. There's a lot of ways to stop the game if I need to stop the game, but I can also look and go, oh, I'm first. Okay, let me just push a protected win real quick. I don't have to lock the game down if I can win. And then if I do lock the game down, I can win in 80 minutes, which was the problem before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot more efficient on stacks. I like it. It's been a lot of fun. Makes a lot of infinite green mana. Culling Ritual MVP of the ban, I want to say.
Oh yeah, Culling
Yeah.
Ritual's pretty nuts.
And then I really liked the Pernicious Deed Slimer, so I figured out a way to put it in. I think it's doing work. I think it deserves a slot in the deck. I kind of put it in just because I like the art, and now I'm like, it's good to reset the field. I think to me, whenever I was thinking about Dockside being gone, I was like, well, how do you reset the field now? Like, what if somebody gets a Smothering Tie, then gets a ton of treasures? What do you do about that? And the answer is Predacious Deed and Culling Ritual, or Culling Ritual. Yeah. So I'm enjoying that one quite a bit. That's the one I'm probably going to play the most at Vegas. If you played me and you liked it, or you thought it was good, or you thought it was bad, let me know in the comments.
Yeah. I
Cool. And then, oh, go ahead.
I've played it quite a bit. It's scary every time, and then for somebody that doesn't really know the lines that well, it's easy to be like, well, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And if you let it go, that's it. Like,
I think everybody knows Witherbloom, Chain of Smog,
yeah,
for the most part, but that's my desperation play. Like,
but you do both at the same time, so
Yeah.
it's just like, 1-2 hit and then it's over. It's not much setup, and realistically, I've seen you talk people into it with a not culling ritual, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you're gonna give him 8 mana, like yeah, you're gonna reset my board, but 8 mana, come on now.
Yeah, and then my politic with that is I'm just gonna drop Kodama. That's it. Like, and everybody's like, well, Kodama is a card I can already see, so yeah, that's fine. And it's like, okay, well, I drop Kodama, I drop a land. Oh, Kodama trigger, I get to drop a second land. Pass with 2 mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I think Kodama is one of those cards that you just don't really realize that, like, having that mana dump of 6 green and being like, okay, I'm going to play this rinky dink 2-drop creature, and everybody's like, I'm cool with that. ETB, I'm going to drop Grand Abolisher, and then they're like, well, I'm not cool with that. It's like, well, it's an ability, and you already let the ability resolve, so it's Grand Abolisher time. They're like, well, before it hits the field, I want to tutor. It's like, no, it's on the field. The moment you see it, it's too late.
Yeah,
Like,
it's already happened.
it's like, all right, and then now Witherbloom. Yeah. So how are you feeling about the meta right now?
So I think it's pretty interesting to see some of the decks start to emerge. I've been looking at the is it the conversion rate? It's a percentage at the bottom of
Yeah.
I think it's conversion.
EDH top 16 sucks now. I'm just gonna put that out there.
It doesn't they changed the format or something, and it's just not, or the layout, it's not very great.
Yeah, I do a lot of like Excel documents and stuff like that, and parsing to get data, and they completely took that away. A lot of people are just like, how do I get back to the old form? That don't do that. I think it was a bad move for people that are trying to kind of scrape data, and also just like, it's ugly to me, like.
Yeah, I think that we're seeing some unsung heroes come to the top of the list, I know for sure like Tim Thrasios is really just going in. I think Malcolm Timna is going in too. We're seeing a re emerge or re a new Tibbet coming out,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I personally, so like I was listening to some other people talk about Magic, and I'm going to kind of parrot what they said was we have only had a couple of big tournaments since the ban, and the ban was like just happened, you know. And anybody that's ordered from TCG Player, especially if they use Starlink, knows that it takes about 2 weeks to get your cards in. So the tournaments that were going on recently were just kind of, oh, what do I have at the house that I can throw together? Which Kinnan, Tim Thrasios, I think those were decks that people could just kind of throw together to go do a tournament. I think we really need to wait till the end of 2024 to get a good hold on what the tournament what the meta will look like, just because I know for sure people are kind of needing to get their cards in, kind of figure out Duskmourn and Bloomburrow. I think we're still figuring out Bloomburrow. um, I am Lean Six Sigma certified as a project manager, so I kind of wanted to go into that a little bit to back it up. So really, to get a good sample size, minimum sample size, you're looking at 30 to 50 required for reliable results. I think we've only had maybe like a dozen tournaments, and even though these tournaments, I wouldn't say
Yeah,
are good data points
they're
for
everywhere.
the reason. Yeah, like everybody's kind of figuring it out. The factors that affect sample size in Lean Six Sigma is precision, which is a measure of how close the repeated measurements are to each other, which like Stella Lee won a tournament. Like none of the tournaments really had top 16 was not, it was all over the place. So like the precision is kind of what we're waiting on right now for people to get the cards and figure it out. Confidence is how likely the results in a study represent the true population, which again, we can't really represent the true population right now because everybody's pulling their cards together and just kind of knee jerk reacting to the bans. And then accuracy is a measure of how close the results of a study are to the true population value. So, you know, until we see, I'd say early to middle December is whenever I would start to suspect we'll see like,
Some
oh, these
legitimate.
are the decks that are top 16 regularly. Um, to kind of go in to what's been going on, I wanted to go over the last, basically since October 5th. So we've had 4 tournaments since then. And top 16 is pretty crazy there. So the SCG Con CEDH 5K Star City Games, which big tournament, 106 players.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So basically, top 4 was 2 Rograth, Blue Farm, and then the person that took the entire tournament was on Godo.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then if we're looking at top 16, Rogsai, Blue Farm, 3 Rogsai. So we saw 5 Rogsais. A Sisei, a Blue Farm, Timna Thrasios, Tyam, Luminous Engine, Enigma, which again, I think Tyam is a clear winner from the bans, but Queen Kayla, Cecily Haunted Mage, Elmnar, Ulvenwald Informant, Soren House of Markov, the flip Soren, and Tivit from that one. October Spooktia 2K CDH 64 players. Glarb ended up winning. Yasan, Wandering Bard, and then Rogsai were in the top four. So I think Rogsai is like still viable. And then, you know, Rog Thras, Francisco Thras, which one of our friends he swapped to and he's really enjoying. Rakdos, Lord of Riots, Malcolm Vile, Smasher, Stella Lee, Blue Farm, Roxanne, Tameshi, which I thought Tameshi was just dead. Timna Thras, Sisse. So we're still seeing like
Some of the heavy hitters as
yeah.
well.
Bow of the Brazos, which one of our friends went to and had a lot of fun at. Kinnan. Top four was Kinnan, Timna Thrasios, Obnixis, and Blue Farm. Top 16 was Blue Farm, Rogsai, Atraxa Grand Unifier, Rog Thras, Blue Farm, Magda, Timna Thras, Emil the Blessed, which is cool to see. Tivit, and Sisse. I think Tivit was a real winner out of everything. Magda too, somewhat. The Magda pilot that got 13th place, we know personally as well. We go to a lot of his tournaments, and he's solid. Like I've seen him win turn two when everyone else was on turn one. Like he's scary with that deck.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that yeah, I'm with you.
And then the last one that happened on 12th, so a week ago from when we're filming, Stella Lee, Elvery of the Wild Court, which I think she was a winner from the Dockside ban as well, because she puts out a ton of enchantments that just go unchecked now. That deck won 5 and lost twice. Tyam, Narset, Ellis Gloom, Stalker, Street Urchin background, Balin the Haymaker, which like, oh, 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 draws. I was like, Balin? And it's like, oh, that deck just kind of slipped in. Rocco, Rakdos the Muscle, Rogsai, Kinnan, Tivit, Glarb, Kinnan. Yuriko was another winner from the ban list, and also got a lot of good cards in this set. Rogsai, then Shorecry, which is probably another Dockside winner. Yeah, so it's all over the place.
I didn't hear the Malcolm Timna as much. Maybe that's not. When I was looking at it, like its conversion was better part of 30.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell right now because it also you have to see how many players are playing it.
Yeah. So like you'd need 30 to 50 results to go, oh, okay, this is converting 30% of the time, but only 12 entries in the last since the ban. I can't even look at that data, basically.
I mean, the very last tournament we played, I had top 16, and one of the top players was already playing Timna Thras.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know for sure the bands didn't really hurt him that much at all.
Yeah, Timna Thras, everybody was running it before Jeweled Lotus got printed. So it's one of those things where like everybody's like, okay, you banned cards that were printed recently minus Mana Crypt.
Oh well.
I know that Timna Thrasios in that environment did thrive, so I'm just going to back up to that. I think people will probably back up to it and be like, it still works, so I'm going to play it. I would not be surprised if that deck is one of the top 4. Because before we were seeing Blue Farm, Rogsai, Sisse, and then like, I can't even think about what the 4th deck would have been. Like, the meta was pretty stale, and like, if we kind of go back to before the bans when we talked about the CDH ban list, that's kind of what I wanted. I was like, it's just stale. I'm tired of seeing the same decks. What I really want at the end of the day was a shakeup. Unfortunately, I got it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's all his fault.
Yeah,
100%.
I didn't like the way it was done. I don't agree with the way that was done, but now that we're here, I want to make the best of it. I do like the environment now. I do think it overall was a net benefit to just playing the game. The fact that almost everybody that played CDH walked away with $300-$400 in losses sucks, to get us there. I still, I've been saying this quite a bit. I do think Rawgrath should be banned as well if we're talking about health of the format. I just don't think a zero cost commander, especially in the environment with no Jeweled Lotus, no Dockside, no Mana Vault, is bad for the game.
Yeah.
Uh, I could be wrong. I mean, if we go back to that CEDH ban episode, my God, like I was listening to it and I was just like, I had a lot of takes that now in the actuality is kind of like, okay, like this would not have had the effect that I thought it would. Yeah. But also I never thought Jeweled Lotus or Mana Vault or Dockside would have been banned.
I think that it's one of my big things was how do we keep the rounds in time so that there's not crazy amounts of ties.
There's not though.
And
yeah.
it's pleasantly wrong.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. I saw it and I was just like, oh God, we're gonna have stacks winner. There's gonna be so many ties. People aren't gonna be able to close. I do not see that. In a meta where people are just kind of trying to figure out and see what sticks, I didn't see a lot of ties, which is good because when people figure it out and get some practice under their belts, they're going to be better and we're going to see even less ties. So
Yeah.
I really hope we do keep that 19-ish% tie rate or go lower. I don't want to go higher. Yeah.
Do you think in the format we're seeing more decks or less decks since the ban?
Oh, more decks since
You
the
think
ban.
so?
But it's
not enough.
yeah, it's a symptom of the problem because everybody went, well, I can't play my deck anymore. And they were like, let me throw something together. And there's a lot of people that are like, oh, cool, I'm not going to just lose to Rogsai turn two. I can now take an extra turn and that opens up a lot of silly jank I can try. And like, everybody knows that right now, like, I mean, Glarb and Godo, won. So everybody knows right now that's like, if you were ever going to try to win with a off deck, now is kind of the time to do it. Yeah, because everything is somewhat off meta now. We don't know what the meta is.
I didn't hear very many Magda either, and like Magda was seemingly going crazy at one point
because of Jeweled Lotus.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Jeweled Lotus Godo is the same almost.
I mean, not really. So Jeweled Lotus and Mana Vault really thrived in decks that were trying to win by turn 2. Godo never tried to win by turn 2.
Yeah, he was just a slow roll.
Yeah, so Godo's kind of like Rocco, where it's like, if I get a Mana Vault, great. If I get Lion's Eye Diamond, great. You can look at Godo and go like, I want to get Godo out by turn 3 or 4. You don't want to be the person that pushes first with Godo, because pushing first with Godo will eat a hard casted Mind Break Trap, will eat a Force of Will. Like, Godo is extremely obvious. Like, it's like Atali, but like if Atali won the game every time Atali came out, like everybody, if you rush Godo, everybody's just going to scramble and try to stop you in any way they can. And sometimes it's worth it because you look at the decks that are out there and you look at the mana that's tapped and you're like, I'll risk it. The only thing that can stop me right now is a Force of Will, and if somebody has it, they have it. Because that I will say that Rocco played very similar, where I think Rocco. I mean, clearly he won an event recently. I don't like Rocco because it has turn 1. You already have a 7% chance to draw your combo, and if you draw your combo, you pretty much lose. There's ways around it. Like you could definitely squeeze food chain to a win, and just win that way. But it's a deck that you play knowing on turn 1 you have a 7% loss rate, and that every turn that goes on, your loss rate goes higher because you could draw every time you draw a card, your ability to lose goes up 1%. It's like Sisay if Sisay uh was worse. Yeah, like if Sisay was Naya instead of 5 color.
Mm.
That's why I don't play it, but I will say that I don't think it's dead by any means. I think a lot of these decks that didn't want to win first are still fine. Um, just Atali isn't, and that's what I play. So I'm sad. Like,
Yeah.
uh, I have, I have really liked that. Whenever I was building decks, I would do dry runs, and I'd be like, this deck needs to push, needs to stop something or push by turn 2. So like if I'm not winning, if I'm not looking at my hand and going, I can make a reliable turn 3 attempt. I need to be able to look at my hand on turn 2 and go, if someone attempts, I can stop it. And now I'm like, okay, I need to be able to attempt by turn 3 or 4. And I'm not as worried to stop turn 1 or turn 2 wins. Turn 1 wins, I mean, you just really can't do anything about that. But turn 2 wins, like you should be able to look at your hand and go, I have something that could stop this, whether it's a silence, whether it's a, it clearly counters, but other stuff. I do like that turn of wiggle room. I think that opens up a lot of more decks, which is cool. And I think, if you can pull out a turn 2 win,
Power to you.
power to you. Yeah, like if you're doing that without Mana Vault and Jeweled Lotus, great. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that in our current group, we don't see a bunch of blue right now,
Yeah.
which kind of gives me a false sense of
I mean, we do. I'm the only one that doesn't play blue because we've got Sisay, which is 5 colors, Blue Farm, uh, Thras Bird,
oh yeah, he has Thras.
which is blue,
Okay.
Derevi, which is blue. So everybody's playing blue, but like they're playing not sheriff decks.
Yeah, they're playing speed.
Like Sisay's blue, but like Sissy's not going to stop me, like
Yeah,
for the most part.
not really.
Yeah.
Like Sisei is more of a I'm gonna do my own thing
Yeah.
type of deck.
We're not seeing decks that have to sheriff to get to mid game. Like everybody's kind of like,
We're getting there anyway.
I know we're probably getting to turn 3. I don't have to go as hard into the counters. I think a lot of people are also currently looking at the meta and going, well, if I have an extra turn, creature counters are probably not creature combos are probably the best way to do this.
Which shuts off a lot of combo or a lot of counters.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the meta right now, or the actual format right now. I think that we're gonna see some real interesting decks start to emerge.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm excited for that. I really, really wish I could have built Kona, but I'm glad I didn't build Kona and then go, oh, all the cards to play in Kona are gone.
well, I mean, you still get the feel of Kona though.
I think it's a she. She is really fun as a 99 in green because you can go pull her out, and then I run her in Tuna Kodama quite a bit, and it's just fun to put her out and be like, all right, I've got 3 colors that I can pull the craziest thing out of my hand and just drop it now.
It brings some cool politics too, because it's like I was trying to politic with somebody about blocking it. I was like, dude, just block it. Like,
Yeah.
because the next turn he's going to be able to drop whatever he wants out of his hand. Like, I know you're going to lose a creature, but forget that creature.
We've played some games and I'm just like, I have a creature that I really want to get out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put Kona out. And if she eats the swords, great. It's not the thing I have in my hand. And if she doesn't eat the swords, also great. The thing in my hand gets put out for free. Like it's one of those things where it's like, probably the worst thing that could happen is I drop it, I get the immediate value, and then he swords the thing I dropped. But it's unknown. Like I could have a microsynth lattice in my hand and drop it and just lock the game,
Yeah.
and you can't swords that because it's a permanent, it's not just creature. So I think she adds a really fun dynamic to the game. I really like the design.
Um, I think it would have been, again, I've said it a few times. I think that making it mono green balanced it,
Yeah.
but if it had another color, that thing would be dumb.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like,
But I I think that one, I think we were right. I think that we weren't right in the commanders, like the command zone.
no,
Uh,
we were right then in the command zone, and no one can say anything about it because cards got banned, and there will be
it
never be
was
enough data.
it was number one
Yeah,
whenever it was
yeah. It
for the 3 days.
if it wouldn't have been banned for that 3 days, if it would have ever seen a tournament, it would have been number one. Everybody would have pooped their pants and just been like, my God, this is amazing.
You
And no one can prove that we're wrong with data because the data doesn't exist.
you would have been number one
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
It would have been done.
Anything like literally, somebody would have brought it comedian would have brought it to an event.
I think
and
he had it
then
built.
all you would have seen was he would win that event, and then every event on EDH Top 16 would just say winner comedian Kona. From then, since the format came out, even though she wasn't printed, that's how good she would have won.
Oh yeah. I think he had it built, and I think he was on the plane to go,
Yeah.
and then he had to go with his backup deck.
Yep. You would have just seen pages upon pages of pictures of Kona winning. And if you don't agree, well, that's just hypothetical. You know, you don't have data to back it up.
Yeah,
So
too bad.
I'm glad we were right there.
That's so funny.
One thing that I've kind of noticed, and this is kind of a weird take because I see data that proves me wrong, but I feel like bigger commanders, anything above 5 is kind of hard to play. But also, we're seeing Tivit played quite a bit and doing well. And like Tivit is an artifact deck, so I think it was a big winner from Dockside. So like it can run Chrome Mox is the one that has Metalcraft.
Yeah. No, Opal.
Mox Opal, yeah. So like it can reliably get that Metalcraft and get with Mana Vault and the other one we just talked about it, Grim Monolith.
Yeah. When I tivoted though, like
Yeah, agreed.
it was Jewel Lotus was a easy way to get it out,
and also an easy way to lose the game too. Like
with Jewel.
because I will say that like whenever
to be faster,
Yeah,
to
so
throw
like
it out fast.
whenever, and this was like when we were first playing and didn't really know very well like what to do because we didn't really have tournament experience. You would rush Tivit, and then everybody would be like, "I've got a lot of
Swords.
creature removal swords. Thanks for investing 6 mana into this. I'll give you 2 treasure, or like you'll get 2 treasures, you'll get 3 clues from us, and here's the swords. Thank you very much." You know?
Yeah, that's silly. No, Tivit was a little bit different because you could use the Grim Monolith as setup to get the 3 colorless, and then you just need 3 mana.
Yeah,
Or you could hold, like pocket your mana drain,
yeah,
and then mana drain a anything really with 3, and then
Yeah.
you're ready to go. Like,
but you also had Dark Ritual, Culling the Weak. Like if you had a black, a white, and a blue and a creature,
you had it.
Culling the Weak would give you Tivit. I still think he has a lot of good ways to get out early. I think putting Tivit out early is not a good play unless you're just like, I've got counters for days. I think that deck specifically works because big winner with Dockside gone, and then can play Sheriff very well.
Well, you also sometimes you just want the artifacts.
Yeah.
So like having a cursed totem out and a graph digger is
Yeah.
like you run both, and then you just drop them both out because you're kind of getting to that point and laying
Yeah.
your lands. And then it's like, well, what are you gonna do? I've shut off Kennen, and I've shut off every deck that needs a mana, like an ability from itself. So I feel like that deck works because it's Esper good stuff with a win con.
Yeah.
Adding the win con really helps.
I think we're going to see a lot of green. I think Curse Totem is going to be a good card.
That's a that hurts my soul.
Yeah. The thing that's funny about Curse Totem though, like we were talking about it because I was like, oh man, Curse Totem shuts me off. What do I do about that? Oh, I'd just go get Oof. And then I'd be like, okay, well, Tivit, you put out Curse Totem. I took away all of Artifact's abilities, so we're just gonna tie this game. Like, like it's interesting. I like Tivit's one of those cards that I'm not gonna say I'm never too worried about Tivit, but there's ways to deal with Tivit, and that way is Oof and things that shut off ETPs. It's the same Atraxa problem where it's like I can somewhat stop this deck pretty easily. So if it ever, it's one of those decks that like, and like you'd say the same about Sisay with like Curse Totem, but like it's not Rogsai. Rogsai, you can't look at Rogsai and go, oh, how do I stop this?
Tivit, you know.
Yeah. Tivit, Sisay, other things like Kinnan, run Grafdigger's Cage. Sisay, run Grafdigger's Cage. Like, which Sisay, the combos, you can just shift into Planeswalkers at that point with Sisay. You're not bringing creatures to field anymore, but it does slow you down.
I would say if we were in a stalemate like that, the fact that I'm Esper is better because I would have
touch. Well, you draw and you could just touch.
Well, I mean, card for card, because the only difference would be blue and green.
Yeah.
Right. That's because you're black, white, green, and I would be black, white, blue.
Yeah.
The blue gives more draw.
Yeah.
And we both have tutors, but with blue, I have like lots more removal.
And also, at the end of the day, you have player removal with a 6/6 flyer. Like,
well, I mean, if I was thinking just Tivit and Kodama, I can't get through to you because Kodama has.
Yeah, no one else is running a 6/6 flyer. Like Crom is what 4/4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. I think for the most part, even in a game that's locked like that, it's not really going to be a tie situation. You'll be like, that's unfortunate. Take 6.
Got 3 more.
You've got 3 more, and maybe I won't get there. But take 6. Yeah.
And then what's crazy though is every time I hit, I still get the benefit. I just can't use the artifacts. So it's like once that player's dead, I'll have enough to just infinite.
Yeah.
I think that Tivit is a solid choice if you're wanting to go that way.
I also saw we talked about this earlier off stream, but I've seen people talking about knowledge pool lock with Tivit as well, where it's like that doesn't even care if you lock down artifacts because they run every when your opponent casts a spell for free, it's countered or they just can't. So the white blue girl, I always forget her name. Lavinia, Boromir, I believe, and then one other card. Oh, the artifact that does it. But there's another white card that does it too. It's all the things that say if a opponent plays a spell for free, it's countered. Yeah. So yeah, Dranith, Lavinia, Boromir, and then the artifact from MH3, the Vexing Bauble.
I mean, so all of this, and Vexing Bauble is solid, dude. Like it runs good.
All of those, and then once you drop out Knowledge Pool, you're just like, okay, so now I'm the only thing that can cast from the Knowledge Pool. So on your turns, every time you cast a spell, it gets eaten by Knowledge Pool. You do pick a spell to just waste out of the Knowledge Pool. But otherwise, on my turn, I'm just going to cast all of my stuff that's left and all of the stuff that you guys put in there. So good luck. And Knowledge Pool is like 6, I want to say. So it's not unobtainable. I do like it's a deck that you have to have 5 slots in there to get. But I've seen a lot of people say like, I'm going to just run all of these, and not all of them, but you're probably running Dranith, you're probably running Lavinia. I'm just putting in
Vexing should be used because you can use it for your for counters, and you can use it for just as fodder for time sieve.
Yeah, and the thing I like about vexing is Lavinia, you can put it out, and then you're just like, man, somebody just went for it, and somebody else had a free counter, and they couldn't use it. That sucks. But vexing and Boromir, you at least have the option of
To sack it.
somebody being like, hey, I can stop this. You need to sack this though. And like vexing bubble, you have to keep up 1 mana, but like you're Tivit. If you pass tapped with Tivit, like you're playing the deck wrong. Sorry. You know, like,
Yeah, no, I
it happens from time to time, but you know,
I mean with it's cool that Tivit is viable, but I think he is an exception and not the rule as
Yeah.
far as the amount of mana.
yeah. And from what we're seeing currently, which again, not good data, but it's a lot of low to the ground commanders, like 3, maybe 4. But I mean, even Crom is kind of like
Crom
is a
Crom
command zone princess now.
yeah,
Like,
Crom is a nice to have.
yeah,
If we go to mid game, like for sure Crom just to start hitting people.
yeah,
You could put pressure on life totals, but I mean even then meh.
yeah,
Like it's more I'm trying to draw what I need. I have seen that Blue Farm is, in my opinion, taking a hit.
yeah. And the thing that I'm really seeing to kind of go with that is I see Ristic Study being much worse currently. So Ristic Study, if you got it out early, was pretty good. I'm seeing,
There's always mana.
yeah, I like no one is really. I feel like everybody isn't really going for those like insane. I cast 4 spells a turn. Outside of their
Turn one.
turn 1-2 setups. I have noticed that Mystic Remora is much more valuable.
Oh, it eats. It eats if you're first with a Mystic Remora, you're gonna do good.
But I mean, we've also seen people go, I can just lay a mana dork, like it was me, you on Sisse, and then somebody else. I think it was a Derevi. And then somebody played Mystic Remora, and I just went, okay, well, I can just put out a mana dork. Lay down land, play a delayed halfling, pass. And then you were like, put out a land, put out a deathrite, pass. Put out a land, put out a Llanowar elf, pass. And then the person with the Mystic was just like, I'm committed, I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
Put down a land, they passed, and we were like,
Another mana dork.
yeah, I mean, I guess instead of putting a land in a mana dork, what I'll do is I'll put down a land, play Timna, pass. Yeah. Timna uncounterable pass. Like I feel like I have a lot more options. And like there are decks that are just like I have to just put down a bunch of runks. Like I don't care, But for the most part, like I feel like there's flexibility there. It is much better. I will say also Esper Sentinel is a lot better too.
Esper is nice.
Yeah, I feel like Ristic by the time it actually lands, for the most part, it's a little bit too late for Ristic. And I do say that like Ristic's still good. Period. Like 3 mana, and let's say if each of your opponents casts a spell, which they're going to, like you have refunded your investment for Ristic Study the turn after. Like the fact that Ristic Study just becomes every time you cast a spell you have to pay 1 more is not terrible. But it's not the big hitter that used to be. Like Ristic Study was I always saw it hit and I was like, I have to counter this because Ristic Study wins games. You might not be winning right now, but like it needs to go. We need to have a plan to either remove this Ristic or counter it right now, or this person is gonna win the game. And now I'm just like, I don't really care, like
No,
whatever, you can have it. And then same thing where I don't feel like Bowmasters is nearly as good anymore, just because it's like there's not, by the time you can get Bowmasters out, it's more of a deterrent from wheeling than anything. Like
Yeah,
I play black and I don't run Bowmasters right now just because I'm like meh, like
I do think that like Archivist of Ogmaw or Yawgmoth, Ogmoth, whatever it
Oh yeah, Archivist is still good.
is better. And I don't have the playtime with like Ledger Shredder or Fairy Mastermind, but I would almost bet that I wouldn't say replace it, but I think that
Yeah.
they're pretty good too.
I really like the Deep Gnome Terramancer that we saw in the Tivit deck that we were kind of breaking down before this. So it's one of those cards that I saw come out and I ran it for a little bit and I was like, why aren't people running this? I think it's, especially for Tivit, good. Deep Gnome Terramancer, one generic and a white creature gnome wizard. Flash, mold the earth. When one or more lands enter the battlefield under an opponent's control without being played, you may search your library for a plains card, put onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Do this only once each turn. So if somebody cracks a sack land, instead of flashing out an Archivist of Ogma, you can just pop out a Deep Gnome Terramancer. Or you can pop out both and draw a card and then be like, all right, if you go get a land, I go get a land. And I go get anything I want as long as it's a plains. You know? I think it's good. I would like to see it run a little bit more. There's not really mana intensive. Like ramping a lamb seems really good, but you're investing quite a bit. The thing I like about it is it's a flash creature. So if someone swings Timna at you, which we're gonna see a lot of Timna, somebody swings Timna at you, you're just like, okay. I really didn't want to waste this on this, but I'd rather get rid of a Timna for 2. Flash it in, block with a 2/2. No draws. Yeah.
Is it a legendary?
Nope.
Okay. I was about to say, man, if that's a legendary.
Yeah. I mean, you can also, if you like, you're probably, if you're running land destruction, I really don't want to see a meta where land destruction's good, but if you're running land destruction, which Boseiju is land destruction, you could put Deep Gnome Terramancer out for green or 2. You know, most of the time you're casting Boseiju for green because you have your commander out, but if you're casting Boseiju for 2, put Deep Gnome Terramancer out, channel Boseiju on your opponent's non-basic land. They go get a land. You go get a land. You know?
Yeah.
I think it has plays. Like, are you going to waste a Boseiju on just ramping yourself a land? Probably not. But
it's a possibility.
It's got plays. You know.
I mean, the if this then
Yeah.
cards are always good.
And also, like, people are fetching all the time. Like, I keep wanting to put it in Timna Kodama, but Timna Kodama is kind of a like, I really don't care if I have a bunch of lands at the end of the day. And like, there's only so many planes. I think I only have in that deck 2 cards that would be planes. I would have to start running the surveil lands if I put it in, because I just have my shock land and my OG duel.
Yeah, I think that the meta has interesting potential right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we really have a lot to go off of just yet, but
Yeah.
I'm liking the movement of it for sure.
Yeah. I will say I think Tivit is gonna come back. I'm not gonna say that like it's gonna be top 4 reliably, but top 16 reliably. Like the things that I project that will be reliably top 16: Tivit, Kennen, Sisay, Rogsai, Timna Thrasios. Big drop off of Blue Farm. Other than that, I don't know.
We're also seeing a drop off of Sisay as well, just because anytime Kennen gets to getting big, Curse Totem comes out, and Curse Totem's a shutdown of Sisay as well.
But Sisay can, yes, but Sisay can just go, oh, I'll get Planeswalkers then. The thing about Sisay is Sisay's 5 colors, so like when Sisay needs to flex, Sisay can flex very well. So I think Sisay is just a not gonna go away type of deck. Like Sisay will get less good, but I don't think Sisay will ever. I don't think anybody will look at Sisay and go, oh, you play that deck, lol. You know, like,
Yeah.
I think it'll always be a top 16 contender. Which, I mean, if you play Sisei and you're really good at it, good news. You know? Like,
Yeah. I think, just in my opinion of playing it, maybe I'm tired of Blue Farm, but I do like, I like the options.
mhm.
Her lines are almost like a spider web compared to Blue Farm being, 3, 4 routes maybe.
Yeah, and I will say that like the thing about Blue Farm is really your best win is Underworld Breach combo. And you can have a Boseiju, even if you silence your turn, someone can channel Boseiju and take you out of it. And your uh Thassa's Oracle combo is kind of your backup. And Thassa's Oracle is one of those like everybody's like, all right, I have an endurance in hand. I'm just gonna hold it until somebody tries to Thassa out. Yeah. Um, I I think Blue Farm is in an unfortunate space because when green gets better, Blue Farm gets worse. When more people play green, Blue Farm gets worse, and I think everybody kind of learned to play against Blue Farm as of late. And I think it's still, I think it can flex and be in the top 16 quite a bit. I just think it's going to have a little bit of a fall from grace.
Oh, we're already seeing it, to
Yeah.
be honest. It gets a lot of play. That's why there's a lot of, um, statistic on it. But I just,
But we've also seen this, not with you, but people that play Blue Farm mostly did not make it their own. They just printed the deck out and went, I will learn to play this deck.
yeah,
And they definitely like would hive mind with everybody else and make adjustments, but it was not a like, okay, bans happened based on my own knowledge. I'm going to go the way I like to play. I'm going to adjust my deck. I think once that hive mind has enough
movement.
data,
Yeah.
uh,
I think we'll see it.
they'll see some stuff. I will say a lot of people that played Blue Farm, and maybe I'm wrong, they didn't, there were very slight adjustments before. So I don't think that those pilots are as used to like everything's different. We need to like really overhaul. I think once that happens, I think Blue Farm will fall into two categories: the JP list that's just like F my resources, push a win, don't care how I get there.
Yeah.
And then the other option of kind of how you were playing it, where it's like, I'm sheriff, I'm only going to go for my win behind a protected silence. And I'm mostly going to go to time, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
every
yeah.
game. Uh, you know, I it'll fall from grace a little bit, but I think it'll still be there.
And I also think the longer you wait, the more Blue Farm will get better.
Yeah,
Like,
I do the and you experienced this firsthand where you were playing Tivit and people were just like, why don't you just add red and play Blue Farm? And you got to the point where you're like,
that's the
yeah,
best way to
they're
do
right.
it.
Yeah, I do think Tivit has a place now where Tivit might be exactly as good as Blue Farm, if not better. Which is cool. I like to see that.
I think that in general, um, it synergizes better than Blue Farm does, because Blue Farm got hit with all 3 of the cards,
Mm-hmm.
whereas Tivit only got hit with 2, and meh.
I think we'll see Turbo Nos, Turbo Nos in quotation, Blue Farm, and then I think we'll see a Sheriff Blue Farm that drops Nos. I think that's the future of it. If I had to make my own guess, but I don't play the deck, so yeah.
Yeah, I think that Nas is kind of hard now
Yeah.
because you don't have the resource, one of the 2 of the resources really to continue the line through the Nas.
Well, you're also dropping 3 cards that total mana value were 2. You know,
Yeah.
like 2 very very like 3 very very strong cards. That total mana value was 2 across all 3. So
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot to see.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I like where we're at right now. I think a shakeup. I was asking for a shakeup in the CDH ban episode, and again, don't agree with how it was implemented and what cards, really. But I will say I'm enjoying it. I do think that the Jeweled Lotus, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I do think that the Jeweled Lotus ban, it's winning me over a little bit more. I do think the Mana Vault was correct, unfortunately.
Mana Crypt.
Oh yeah, Mana Crypt. I will say that if you watch the Monday stream where they talked about taking over the format, they did say that Jeweled Lotus was a mistake, that they regretted printing it. Not enough to not reprint it.
A couple of
Yeah,
times.
and make a really rare foil. But they did say like we agree that Jeweled Lotus was a mistake, and I do want to see better ways to get bigger commanders out. I don't know how that is, and I also am not Wizards of the Coast, so I don't need to.
Yeah, we just adjust and keep
Yeah.
playing.
My only request right now is I want to be able to look at a big chunky commander that's 7 and go, this could be CDH viable. And right now, outside of Itali, I mean, I think even Tivit's kind of hard, but like you can look at certain ones and go, despite this restriction, I think that they can do it as an exception, but you
I,
can't really do that
I
right
really
now.
think 4 and higher is getting to a point where
Yeah.
it's like it almost not playable.
Yeah.
There will always be the outliers that are like Tivit, Atali, to where Atali just builds to drop the commander.
Yeah. When I start, the unfortunate part about Jeweled Lotus going away is that was what made Partners not as good. Because with Partners, you crack a Jeweled Lotus, you can only get one of them out.
Hmm.
And most of the partners were 2 colors. So like if you want Timna, you're wasting one of the Jeweled Lotus and you're still playing your own black. But when you had a big commander, like let's say Corvold, you were spending the Jeweled Lotus completely on Corvold and getting this huge bomb out. Now partners, every time I look at a deck to start building, I'm just looking at partners for the most part. Unless I see a just truly broken standalone commander like Tivit,
Or Kinnan as well.
Yeah, Kinnan.
The ones that are
yeah.
the ones that are there have very specific reasons.
Yeah. I think, I mean, again, psychic connection to the TCG Void, we're going to see a lot more partners than we did before because of Jewel Lotus going away.
And weird partners.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, even Kodama wasn't really meta at all. So having it there is kind of weird.
Green Blue Kodama put in some work. Like Sakashima Kodama was a deck type for a while. Because those weird lands that they tap for 2 but you return a land.
Yeah.
Technically I could do this combo in my deck, is I'm not going to, where it's you would put that land out,
Then be able to drop the
you
same
would
land.
bounce the same, like you'd put it out and you'd get a Kodama trigger and it would send itself back, and then you would put your land out from your hand that you wanted for free. The thing about it was with Kodama Sakashima, you'd get 2 triggers. So you'd put that land out, trigger, drop 2 lands. So like,
No,
and then like it did a
interesting.
lot of like land synergy like that. It was one of those. It was like Godo, where it was like get to a certain mana value, you just win the game. Yeah. I think we're gonna see. The unfortunate thing is there's not very many commanders. Like if you want to run I think Selesnya is white green. There's one Selesnya commander, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Like it's bad. You don't see it.
It's the same with red green as well. There's not a whole lot.
Uh, yeah, I mean, Tana's not too bad. She puts out a lot of bodies. Like she's playable. The Selesny one is not. I'd also say we kind of talked about this yesterday while we were playing. Boros also gets the short end of the stick. Like Bruce Tarl, like
Meh.
like it's playable. It gives everything or it does like double strike lifelink, but like not useful in CDH really. Like mostly there for the colors.
Maybe
Um,
Winota.
well, Winoda's not a partner,
Well, what I'm saying is like maybe Winota will be better. Maybe we'll see Winota.
so I was thinking that, but I have not seen Winoda put up any results at all.
That's true.
So like I was thinking it, but I don't think Stacks is going to be as good as we thought it was. I think some decks that play Stacks will need to thrive in an environment that stacks like Timno Kodama is a good example of like if the board is stacked out, I draw a lot and eventually those things that I draw I can drop with Kona and Kodama.
Yeah.
So like that deck thrives in a stacks environment. I don't think very many decks can put out stacks. And like Winota is a good example of like she wants to put out a lot of stacks, but she doesn't she tries to combat through the stacks and like you're a field wipe away from just locking the game to where somebody else will thrive.
Yeah.
Like people will just see, oh, okay, Winota's setting up a whole bunch of stacks. Cool. I'm Sisse, so unless she puts out a weathered runestone, I'm good. I have this field wipe in my hand. I'll let Winota build up a bunch of stacks for me, and then I'll just wipe it. And then what is Winota going to do to a field wipe? Can't red elemental blast a field wipe for the most part. You know,
Yeah.
they're not blue. Like
Yeah, usually the field wipe is like Fire Covenant or something.
Fire Covenant, you know, just all kinds like Supreme Verdict, which is uncounterable. Toxic Deluge. I mean, culling or not culling ritual with Minota, like, oh boy.
Yeah, and what is she gonna do?
Yeah. Convince somebody else to not let me have the mana, basically.
Yeah, that way that she can beat face. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah. I think Winota's good. I think Winota I don't think Winota is gonna be I did originally think Winota was gonna be top 16 material. I don't think so anymore.
So, what do you think about some of the mono colors, like maybe Crick or Elf Ball?
I think Crick is gonna have a tough time.
I think he got dead in the water without the jewel.
If Tivit can live, Crick can live because Crick has all of those black rituals.
That's true.
I mean, there's a lot of options, but you have to a lot of cards that you were putting in your deck to help you win the game are now being taken out to be mana for Crick. I mean, I don't think Crick was ever a top 16 deck before, so I think it gets there by exception, not
Not rule.
if you're
Yeah.
playing Crick, I don't. We have a friend that does get to top 16 because he's really good and really dedicated to Crick.
I would say he's the player. The player gets there. The deck is just what
Best
he
I've
likes.
ever seen it at Crick. Like I'll say that. I think Magda still has the potential. It really depends. I think Magda's still good. I don't really see mono green.
No.
Nah. Mono blue. I think we'll see a lot of Urza and all of our all
I
form
could see that.
because you have back to basics with blue. Like good. Yeah. Like mono blue can really lock the game down.
And you can be sheriff if you want.
And also like protect your stuff. And the all form is really strong. Urza is really strong. Like
Yeah, ours is beastie.
blue locked down the game, infinite mana dump, like Scepter Winter. Like yeah, like blue has a lot of tools. Mono white. I don't think we're gonna see Heliod Ballista or
I think it's out.
yeah, I don't think we're gonna really we were seeing that one guy that sends artifacts. I always forget Tittlebender or whatever.
Fiddlebender.
Fiddlebender and Heliod was what people were talking about before. I do think Shorecry we're going to see a little bit more. I don't
I,
think it's going to be winning, but I think we'll see it more.
you know, you can hate me for this, but I like Shorkai.
I do.
I think it's interesting.
So I like it purely because the first time it came out, I went, "Oh, cool! It's a mech. Let me look up a CDH deck that won. Oh, this is called Polymorph Punch. I love the name. I want to build it."
It's like Shining Fingers.
Yeah, shining fingers.
Yeah, I think Shorkai is a fun deck.
I like it.
Will it be good? It
Not
takes
good.
too long.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. And it only has. It only the way it wins is pretty much just the all creatures and artifacts come in tapped, extort. So it just extorts off of that for the most part.
Oh yeah, blind obedience.
It doesn't have a win that you can just be like, oh, Shorkai was at the table, it got a god hand, it won on turn 2 or 3. And
No,
I think those top 16 decks need
that.
because like you need to win 2 games in your Swiss. And you need to be able to go, I had a god hand, one of the games were in the bag, and I earned the other one, you know? And I don't think Shorecry has to earn every single win.
Yeah, I mean it's when it earns it, man. It's it's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, do I like watching it do its thing? Not so much.
No. The thing I'm excited about, and probably what our next episode will be, is all of the. So we're going to be going to a place where everyone all over the country that plays CEDH, yeah. I don't know why I was having trouble with that. We'll be seeing all of the stuff that they play. So we're going to be at the one spot for 4 days that everybody from everywhere will be showing off their new decks in CEDH.
I'm excited. Like I've got some spicy things for Sisse that I'm pretty happy about. And then of course I can just throw out a blue farm to kind of it's kind of sad, but the more casual CEDH deck.
My goal, I mean, always my goal is, you know, I'm paying a lot of money to go there, like my enjoyment first and foremost, you know? But I do want to try to take pictures. If you'll help me with this, take pictures of what we go against. So that we can kind of go like, this is what we saw. This was our pod. Did not think that this was going to explode. I'm afraid of it now, you know, or like, I've never seen this commander and this dude whipped our butt, you know, like, so this dude had that Tamir Elemental, and he had his deck tripled sleeved, and his deck was a foot off the table.
That's you, and you're listening to us, we were impressed. Not by the size of your deck.
Oh, I was
the
impressed.
Content.
Yeah. I was impressed. They had a foil Gaia's Cradle.
It was bananas.
One of many things that I've never seen before.
I think he had a suitcase almost to put the deck in.
Yeah, he did. He had one of those lock boxes.
It was insane.
So like the boxes that have like the hard foam, like that usually people will put like their guns in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He had that for one deck, and it was in a box in that lock box, and like with him.
I'm with you though, man. If you're listening, like I like to play my cards too.
Yeah.
I was not real keen on wanting to touch any of your cards in your deck, just because, like, in general, I know how much.
I don't know what I would have done if I was playing Atali. Like if Atali had been printed back then,
I'd be like, flip it out, man.
I'd be like, keep everything on your side, please. Like I do not
just
want
flip
to
it upside down.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it was interesting. And maybe we can see the guys that played the Krakushima deck again.
Oh, Eternal Dirtles, yeah.
Yeah, they would be really fun to play.
Yeah. We might be a little bit too sweaty for them now, though, honestly. Like, they were running CDH decks, but they were, like, very fringe, not updated for a year CDH decks.
They tore us up, though, man.
I mean, we're really good now, though. We got way better. Like,
you think so?
Yeah. Because I was running Crick back then, and I thought we all thought that Crick was, like, the end-all, be-all, like, great deck, because I was able to win on turn 2.
Yeah.
With a god hand.
They were really fun people to play, though. I wouldn't mind spending time playing.
Yeah, yeah.
And if any fans, see us there and have a CEDH deck,
They're
let's
gonna have
go.
a hard time locating us, but
That's fine.
yeah, I will be wearing a holding priority shirt one of the days.
He'd be like, "Where's Waldo?"
Yeah, yeah. But first day, I'm gonna get all my stuff signed, so I'm not gonna be caring too much about playing then. If I do get games in, great. But
So you know where he's gonna be.
yeah, yeah, I will be one of the 1,000 people in line.
That's awesome. I'll be there too.
Yeah. What you got to do to attract us is you just got to talk about how great holding priority is, extremely loud, and at some point we might hear you and come over.
The ghost of holding priority will show up.
Yeah.
No, you can always have signs up and just wave them around.
Just hit us up on Twitter. Just if you're there and you're wanting to play, go to our Twitter and say, "Hey, you guys want to play a game?" And
I'm
I'll
at
be
the
like,
tables.
"Yeah, meet you there. This is why I'm wearing."
That's funny.
But yeah, I want to get like a really good meta report of what we saw there, what kicked our butts, what I'm probably not going to go into like this guy's deck sucked.
No, of course not. I mean,
what kicks our butt? If you kick our butt, we'll definitely talk about it. And then also, I'm fingers crossed. I would like to get a interview or two with either a big creator or man, if I could get a little interview with Mark Poole or Dan. I always want to say Dan Harmon. That's not his name. Dan, the guy that did all the Moxes.
I want to say Crusher, but I'm not. I don't think it's.
Let me look.
I have no
I don't know.
idea.
It will be something that like, it's a name that I know very well. And it just, when I want to talk about it, I forget his name because Dan Harmon comes to mind. And I'm like, nope, not Dan. It's Dan H something. Comment it if you know it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Help us out because
Yeah, some of the original artists, I just think it's really cool that they still are employed and still doing what they love. Like the fact that they've been able to do artistry work for 30 years, and they're been hopefully well taken care of by Magic is really cool. That's usually a gig that you kind of hope to scrounge enough together just to pay your rent, for the most part. I think they've had a pretty solid job and been taken care of very well. Yeah, that's kind of just our recap. Look forward to in 2 weeks our MagicCon experience, and hopefully we've got some good goodies for you.
yeah, hopefully we see some of you guys. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, I want to play as many. Well, hopefully, I always forget this is coming out after, but we have played you guys, and you were a pleasure, and you were great.
Or we go back in time. And
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Please remember, if you've listened, like, comment, subscribe, do all of the cool things that feed the algorithm. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or anywhere, please make sure to rate us 5 stars. Very much appreciated. Very much helps.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye.